When we get proximate to people who we struggle with, we open ourselves up to experiencing profound gifts from God. I want to share with you a story about a group of people who experienced profound gifts from God, all because and only because they got really close to a bunch of broken, messy, and imperfect people. 2,000 years ago, Jesus Christ, he was baptized by his cousin John in the Jordan River. Then he began his public ministry. He began to preach and to teach. He performed miracles and wonders. He cured the sick. He raised the dead. And because of these works that he was doing in his community, he had a lot of fans. There were a lot of people who just wanted to see. They wanted to see a miracle. They wanted to see the stuff that they were hearing about in their community. There were many fans of Jesus. And within those fans of Jesus, there were some who were followers of Jesus. These were the disciples. Men and women who studied the life of Christ, spent time with Christ, looked at the way he prayed and taught and worked and ministered. They invested their life with Jesus. They followed him wherever he invited them to go in their walk toward eternity. And then, in the group of followers, there were a few friends, 12 apostles. These were messy, imperfect, and broken men. And one day, as Jesus Christ is preaching, there are thousands of people who've gathered to hear him speak. And his friends tell him, Jesus, you got to send these people home. There's so many people here. They've been here all day long. They have nothing to eat. Let's send them home. And then Jesus says, well let's feed them. But how are we going to feed them, Jesus? We don't have any food. Well, what do we have? Well, we have some bread and some fish. Well, give me that bread and give me that fish. And watch what I do. And Jesus, he blesses the bread and he blesses the fish, and it miraculously multiplies. But then the scripture goes on to tell us this. It was the disciples who fed the people. It wasn't Jesus. And in that group of disciples who were feeding those thousands of people were the 12 apostles. These 12 men who were really broken, really imperfect, were really messy. There was Peter, right? Peter is the chief apostle. But Peter, even though he was walking with Jesus, he really struggled with a lot of sins. He had a lot of bad habits. He had some vices in his life. Peter was very fickle. He would promise Jesus one thing, I'll always be with you, I'll always stay with you, and then he would leave Jesus. Certainly, if he did this to God, he would have done this to people as well. Peter had a cursing problem when he was in the Garden of Gethsemane with Jesus, invited by Jesus to pray. He chose to sleep. And when he got up from his sleep, he began to curse. And then he got his sword out and became violent, and he cut someone's ear off. Certainly, if he did this in the garden, he probably did this in his community as well. So the people in his community would have known about Peter. And imagine Peter taking bread and taking fish, these gifts from God, and being sent by Jesus to feed people. And as Peter approaches, you say, wait a minute, Peter, hold up, bruh. You cut my mama's ear off. I don't rock with you like that. Like, you can't just feed me. Peter, you cursed my brother. Peter, you said you'd be there for us, and you fled. You left us. I don't want to receive this gift from Peter. But here's the thing. If the people would have resisted Peter, they would not have received the gift from God. And then there's Simon the Zealot. The Zealots were a group of people who were radical. They were extreme. They were intense, right? I know we have that phrase that people say, flirt to convert. For the Zealots, it was hurt to convert, right? They were angry people for the Lord. And if you weren't on their page, they would get in your face like somebody who might be outside the conference screaming at you saying, you're going to hell, right? That's what Simon the Zealot was so intense. And so as he goes to feed people, they might say, hold up, man. Like, you weren't very reverent with me. You weren't gentle with me. You weren't so tender with my family and your proclamation of the good news. So I don't want to receive this gift from you. But if we don't receive the gift from you, we don't receive the gift. And then there's Matthew, the tax collector. Tax collectors were public sinners. They stole from people. I imagine as Matthew goes to bring the bread and the fish to people, some people might say the reason why we're hungry is because of you. Because you stole from us, we lost our home. Because of you. But again, if they would resist Matthew, they would not receive the gift from Jesus. These people did receive the gifts from the apostles and the other disciples, and they were able to receive these gifts and be fed and be satisfied only because they got proximate to a group of people who were messy and imperfect and broken. I want you to know that God has a gift for each and every single one of you this week. And the way that he's going to give that gift to you is going to be through many ways, but particularly through some of the speakers. But I also want you to know that the speakers here at this conference, we're not perfect. Like the apostles and disciples, we too are broken and we too are messy. We too have our own stuff. But I really want to encourage you to be open to the bishops at Mass, the speakers on stage, the missionaries in your small groups, to be open to perceiving the gifts that God has for you, because he has them. Speak, Lord. Speak, Lord, your servant is listening. This could be a phrase we could say throughout this week. Lord, however you want to give a gift to me, I'm open to hearing. I'm open to receiving. I'm open to perceiving whatever you have in store. But you might be thinking, Father Josh, it's not other people that I'm struggling with. It's myself. Just like you when you went on that retreat so many years ago, how you struggle with your own baggage. I have so much baggage. And I struggle to believe that I can receive a gift from the Lord. If this is you, I want you to know again, you are not alone. You are surrounded by a bunch of people who are also struggling to become saints.